The Astral Dawn glided smoothly through the vast, infinite blackness of space. Captain Elara Tanis stood before the holographic map in the command center, her sharp gaze fixed on the uncharted region of the Outer Rim. This was no ordinary expedition. The legendary Star of Solara, a fabled artifact said to hold the power to alter the course of history, lay hidden in the deep reaches of the galaxy. Rumors had swirled for centuries, but now, for the first time, there was a concrete lead. The crew of the Astral Dawn had spent years preparing for this journey, but Elara's mind was troubled. The closer they came, the more the whispers grew in her mind. Captain Tanis, First Officer Jace Arden said, breaking her thoughts. "We've entered the coordinates. Sensors are picking up energy signatures unlike anything we've seen before." Elara clenched her jaw. "Activate full shields and prepare for any anomalies," she ordered. "This mission will change everything." As the Astral Dawn continued its journey toward the unknown, the crew began to feel the pull of the cosmic anomaly. The ship's systems groaned under the pressure, and the gravity well of the disturbance intensified with each passing minute. Elara stood at the command center, gripping the armrest as the ship's hull vibrated. "We're close," she said, her voice steady but tinged with concern. "The gravitational field is stronger than anticipated." JC's voice came through the comms. "We're going to have to shut down non-essential systems to prevent a full collapse. Power output is spiking." Elara's gaze hardened. "Do it. We're not turning back now." She turned to face the rest of the crew. "Prepare for turbulence. Everyone hold on tight." The ship lurched as the Astral Dawn entered the heart of the gravitational field, alarms blaring throughout the vessel. Elara held onto the console as the room shook violently. "Report," she commanded, her voice sharp despite the chaos. JC's voice crackled through the comms. "Hull integrity is holding, but the energy field is causing interference with our navigation. We're on a direct collision course with the core." "Can you stop it?" Elara asked, her voice steady. Jace hesitated. "Not without shutting down the engines completely." Elara's expression hardened. "Then do it. We'll find another way out." As the room continued to shake, Elara's eyes locked onto the view screen, where the center of the anomaly loomed large and ominous. With the engines now shut down, the Astral Dawn drifted through the heart of the anomaly, the ship's systems at the mercy of the gravitational forces. The view screen displayed a kaleidoscope of colors as they neared the core, the energy fluctuations growing stronger. Elara's heart raced as she turned to Jace. "We're almost at the event horizon. Can you get us out of here?" Jace stared at the console, his brow furrowed. "Not yet, Captain. The systems are too unstable. We need to find a way to reverse the polarity of the core's pull." Elara nodded, clenching her fists. "Find it, Jace. Now." The crew watched in silence as the swirling colors on the view screen reflected the rising tension. As Jace worked to reverse the ship's polarity, the gravitational forces became almost unbearable. Elara felt the strain on her body as the Astral Dawn was pulled deeper into the anomaly. "Captain, I think we can do it," Jace shouted over the noise. Elara's eyes widened. "Do it, now." The ship groaned under the pressure as the power surged through the system. The crew braced themselves as the force of the core's pull began to lessen. "We're reversing course," Jace said, his voice filled with relief. The room shook violently one last time, and then silence. The ship was free, drifting safely away from the core. Elara exhaled sharply, her hands still gripping the console. "Good work, everyone," she said, her voice calm but filled with pride. The Astral Dawn drifted further into the uncharted region of space, now beyond the anomaly that had nearly destroyed them. Captain Elara Tanis stood at the helm, her face etched with both relief and unease. The crew had weathered the storm, but the true challenge had yet to begin. They had entered a star system known only in myth, the system that was said to house the Star of Solara. Elara turned to First Officer Jace Arden, who was monitoring the system's scans. "Any sign of the artifact?" she asked, her voice steady but curious. Jace's fingers flew over the controls. "Nothing definitive, Captain, but there's a strange energy signature coming from a nearby planet. It's unlike anything we've encountered before. Elara's eyes narrowed as she studied the data. Prepare a landing party. We'll investigate. This may be the lead we've been searching for. The Astral Dawn descended toward the surface of the planet, its dark atmosphere glowing with strange, intermittent flashes of energy. Elara stood at the edge of the ship's landing bay, watching the descent. The planet below appeared lifeless, but something in the data was off. The scans show signs of ancient structures buried beneath the surface, Jace said, stepping beside her. These readings don't match any known technology. It's as if the planet is hiding something, then it's hiding the Star of Solara, Elara replied, her voice firm. She turned to the landing crew, composed of her best officers. Gear up. We don't know what we'll find down there, but we'll need to be ready for anything. As the ship's engines roared to life for the landing, Elara's heart quickened. The discovery of the artifact was only the beginning of a much greater mystery. The team disembarked onto the barren landscape, stepping into a world that felt ancient and abandoned. The ground beneath their boots was cracked, and the sky was overcast, casting the world in a dull gray light. They moved cautiously through the rocky terrain, their footsteps echoing in the silence. I don't like this, Lieutenant Rin said under her breath. It's too quiet. Elara glanced around, her senses heightened. Stay sharp. Whatever's here, we're not the first to come looking. As they neared the coordinates, the ground trembled slightly, and the air became charged with static. Then, a massive stone structure loomed in the distance, an enormous, half-buried pyramid-like structure. It seemed to pulse with energy. Elara's voice was calm but filled with awe. This is it. The Star of Solara is close. The team reached the entrance to the massive pyramid-like structure. The stone doors were sealed shut, adorned with strange markings and symbols. Jace stepped forward, examining the markings closely. This doesn't make sense. These are ancient, but they don't match any known language. It's like something older. Elara nodded. We don't need to understand it all yet, Jace. We just need to open it. She motioned to Rin, who had already pulled out a cutting tool. Let's get this door open. The sound of metal against stone filled the air as Rin worked, sweat dripping from her brow. After several tense moments, the stone doors slowly creaked open, revealing an inner chamber bathed in dim light. Inside, at the center of the room, lay a pedestal, empty, except for a strange pulsating orb resting upon it. The Star of Solara, Elara whispered. The orb on the pedestal flickered with light, its strange energy filling the chamber. Elara stepped forward cautiously, her hand reaching out toward the artifact. Be careful, Captain, Jace warned, his voice filled with concern. This may be more dangerous than we think. Elara didn't hesitate. We've come too far to turn back now. Her fingers brushed against the surface of the orb, and in that instant, the room shook violently. A low hum resonated from the artifact, and the walls seemed to pulse with energy. What the hell is happening? Rin shouted, backing away. It's destabilizing, Jace said, panic rising in his voice. The energy readings are off the charts. We need to get out of here now. But before they could move, the entire room began to shift, the walls closing in as the ground beneath them trembled. Elara's eyes widened as the realization hit. We've triggered something. Get back to the ship. The Astral Dawn shook violently as the landing party scrambled to get back to the ship. Elara and her team raced through the corridors of the ancient structure, the walls closing in around them as the ground trembled beneath their feet. Move, 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 Elara shouted, her voice cutting through the chaos. Behind them, the pyramid continued to rumble, as though it were coming to life. The air was thick with energy, and the strange hum of the orb they had disturbed echoed through the structure. Rin, panting and covered in dust, glanced over her shoulder. This place is falling apart. We need to get out now. They reached the exit just as the pyramid's walls began to collapse inward. Elara dove into the open hatch of the Astral Dawn, pulling Rin and Jace inside. Lift off, she ordered. The ship's engines roared to life. As the pyramid exploded behind them, sending shockwaves through the atmosphere. The Astral Dawn ascended into the sky, the ship's engines glowing brightly as they powered through the debris from the collapsing pyramid. Elara gripped the controls, her face tense as she maneuvered the ship through the falling rubble. "We need to get clear of this planet's gravity well," she said through clenched teeth, her hand steady on the helm. JC's voice crackled through the comms. "I'm picking up a massive energy surge. It's coming from the planet itself. Whatever the orb was, it's not just a power source, it's destabilizing the entire system." Elara nodded, her mind racing. "Get us out of here now." With a final burst of speed, the Astral Dawn broke free of the atmosphere and entered the void of space. Below, the planet's surface cracked open, sending massive plumes of energy into the sky. "That was too close," Jace said, his voice filled with relief. But Ilara's eyes were already fixed on the stars ahead. The Star of Solara isn't just a relic. It's a weapon. 9. As the Astral Dawn sailed through the starry expanse, Elara stood in the command center, deep in thought. The danger they had just escaped from had left a lingering sense of unease. The Star of Solara, whatever it was, held far more power than they had initially realized. "Jace, analyze the data from the anomaly," she ordered. Jace nodded, already typing furiously at his console. "I'm pulling up the energy signatures now. Captain, it's not just an artifact, it's a hyperconduit. It channels energy from stars, possibly even entire solar system." Elara's brow furrowed. "A weapon then. We're dealing with something far beyond our understanding." Her eyes hardened. "Prepare a course to the coordinates we received from the planet. We need to find out who else is after this power and stop them before it's too late." As the ship traveled deeper into the uncharted region of space, Elara's mind raced. She knew they were heading into dangerous territory. The Star of Solara had been hidden for centuries for a reason, and the closer they got, the more it felt like they were walking into a trap. "Captain," JC's voice broke through her thoughts. "I'm detecting another ship approaching fast. It's not a standard vessel. Could be hostile." Elara's hand instinctively hovered over the controls. "All hands prepare for evasive maneuvers," she commanded. The lights in the command center flickered as the ship began to shake. "We don't have time for subtlety, Jace," Elara said, her voice cold and focused. "Get us ready to fight." The ship's systems powered up as the unknown vessel closed in. On the view screen, the silhouette of the approaching ship loomed large. The unknown ship closed in, its weapons charging. Elara's fingers flew over the controls, the Astral Dawn's shields flaring to life as the enemy vessel fired. "Shields holding at 80%, Jace called out, his voice tight with strain. Elara gritted her teeth. "We need to disable their weapons. Rin, get to the turrets. Prepare to return fire." As the Astral Dawn swerved to avoid another blast, Rin's voice came through the comms. Captain. Engaging now." The ship's turrets roared to life as the crew fired back at the enemy vessel, the energy beams lighting up the dark void. "They're not backing down," Jace said, his eyes locked on the enemy ship's trajectory. "Neither are we," Elara responded, her grip tightening on the controls. "We're not leaving here without answers." The Astral Dawn rocked with the force of another blast as the enemy ship closed in, its weapons targeting the vulnerable points of the Astral Dawn. Elara gritted her teeth, hands steady on the controls. "Shields at 60%, Jace reported, his voice strained. "We can't take another hit like that." Elara's eyes flashed with determination. "Keep us steady, Jace. We need to end this." She motioned to Rin, who was at the weapons station, her eyes scanning the readouts. "Get a clear shot at their weapons array, Rin," Elara ordered. "One shot. We can't waste time." Rin nodded and adjusted the targeting system. "Locking on now," she said, her voice calm even in the chaos. The Astral Dawn swerved to dodge another blast, giving Rin the perfect shot. "Ready to fire on your mark, Captain." The Astral Dawn shuddered as the enemy ship fired once again, but this time Rin was ready. "Firing now," she shouted. A pulse of energy shot from the Astral Dawn's turrets, striking the enemy ship's weapons array. The ship faltered, its weapons systems flickering out. "Direct hit," Rin called out. The hostile ship slowed its approach, clearly damaged. Elara exhaled, the tension in her shoulders easing slightly. "That's one problem solved," she muttered. Jace was already analyzing the data. "Their engines are still online, Captain, but they're disabled for now. We can press our advantage, or we can try to make a run for it." Elara glanced at the view screen, the enemy ship floating weakly in space. "We press our advantage. Get us alongside them. Let's see if they'll talk." Elara's voice echoed through the comms, a sharp command that resonated with authority. "This is Captain Tanis of the Astral Dawn. You are outmatched and outgunned. We're here to stop whatever you're planning, so don't make us do this the hard way." The comms crackled as the enemy captain responded, his voice low and defiant. "You think you've won, Captain? You have no idea what you're dealing with. The Star of Solara belongs to us. We will not be stopped." Elara's eyes hardened. "The Star of Solara is not a weapon for anyone to control. You'll surrender now, or we'll force you to." A brief silence followed. Then the enemy ship's engines powered down, surrendering to their might. Elara stood tall, though her mind raced. This was just the beginning. "Secure their vessel," she ordered, and the crew moved into action. With the enemy ship secured, Elara and her crew moved swiftly to board it. The atmosphere was thick with tension as the landing party prepared to enter the hostile vessel. "Remember, we're here to capture them, not start a massacre," Elara reminded them. She took a deep breath as the airlock connected, her hand gripping the weapon at her side. The doors hissed open, revealing a dark, empty corridor. The crew moved silently, their footsteps echoing as they navigated the ship's maze-like interior. Suddenly, a sharp voice crackled through the comms. "We have intruders on board. Prepare for resistance." Elara's heart quickened. "Let's make it fast," she muttered, signaling to her team. The mission had shifted. Now they were in enemy territory. The team pressed on through the dark halls of the enemy ship, moving cautiously but with purpose. The sound of distant footsteps echoed as they neared the ship's central command. "There," Jace whispered, pointing to a reinforced door at the end of the hall. Elara nodded. "This is it. Let's take them down." As they approached the door, a blast of energy erupted from the other side, throwing the crew to the ground. Elara quickly recovered, her weapon raised. "Fire at will," she commanded. The team returned fire, the air crackling with energy. The door was torn open, revealing the enemy's last line of defense, armed and ready. "Surrender now," Elara shouted, but the enemy captain merely grinned. "You don't understand. The Star of Solara is already beyond your reach. We will never surrender." The battle on the enemy ship raged as Elara and her crew fought their way through the remaining defenses. The crew had been divided, each taking strategic positions to prevent the enemy from escaping. "Elara, we've got their leader cornered," Jace reported over the comms, his voice steady despite the chaos. Elara nodded and signaled the team to advance. "Keep them contained. We're ending this." As the team moved toward the central chamber, the flickering lights and blaring alarms made the environment feel even more claustrophobic. They reached the main control room, where the enemy captain stood, smirking at them. "You think you've won, Captain Tanis?" the enemy leader sneered. "The Star of Solara isn't just an artifact. It's a catalyst, a force that will reshape the galaxy. You're too late." Elara's eyes narrowed. "We'll see about that." The door to the control room hissed open, and Elara's team rushed in, weapons aimed at the enemy captain. But the moment they stepped inside, the floor trembled. A low hum filled the room as the Star of Solara, now housed in a massive containment chamber at the center of the room, pulsed with an unsettling light. "What's happening?" Rin asked, her voice tense. Jace scanned the energy readings. "The artifact is drawing energy from the entire ship. It's destabilizing the core. We've got to shut it down now, or we won't make it out." Elara gritted her teeth. "We'll destroy it. No one controls this power." She turned to the enemy captain, her voice cold. "Surrender now, and we'll make sure you face trial for your actions." The captain laughed darkly. "You think you can stop it? The Star of Solara is unstoppable. Elara's heart raced as she moved toward the Star of Solara. The entire ship was vibrating, the energy from the artifact cascading outward in waves. "We need to destroy it now, or this ship won't hold together," Jace urged. Elara nodded, quickly calculating their options. "Rin, get to the main console. We need to disable the containment system." Rin ran to the console, her fingers flying over the keys. I'm in, she said, her voice filled with focus. The ship's alarms blared louder as the countdown to critical overload began. Elara raised her weapon and aimed at the containment field. "Prepare for the worst," she muttered, knowing this wasn't going to be easy. "Once it's destabilized, we're taking that artifact with us." The Star of Solara pulsed one last time, as though warning them of the impending destruction. The sound of the countdown filled the room as the artifact destabilized. Rin's hands moved frantically across the console, sweat dripping down her face. "I can't stop it. The containment is failing," she shouted. Elara's voice was steady, even as the ship continued to shake. "We need to buy ourselves some time. Rin, keep working on that system. The rest of you, cover her." The enemy captain, now furious, lunged for the artifact, but Elara was faster. She aimed her weapon, striking the control panel, sending sparks flying. The captain staggered back, cursing under his breath. "You'll never control the Star of Solara," he spat. Elara turned to her team. "We don't need to control it. We need to stop it from destroying everything." With a final surge of effort, Rin hit the last key. "It's done!" she shouted, her voice filled with relief. The energy field around the Star of Solara flickered and collapsed, the artifact's glow dimming as it lost power. The Astral Dawn system stabilized, and the tremors in the ship ceased. Elara turned to the defeated enemy captain. "You're done," she said coldly. "You won't be able to hurt anyone else." As the crew began to secure the area, Elara took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the mission lift off her shoulders. "We've stopped them. Now, we need to figure out what this artifact really is, and why it was hidden for so long." The Star of Solara, now inert, sat in its chamber, waiting for the answers to come. The Astral Dawn sailed through the void, the hum of the engines steady as Elara stood in the command center, staring at the inert Star of Solara. The crew had secured the artifact, but there was still so much they didn't understand about it. "Jace, have you found any way to decrypt the data on this thing?" Elara asked, her voice filled with determination. Jace hunched over a console, looked up. "I'm working on it, Captain. There's a data lock embedded inside the artifact. It's not like anything we've seen before." Elara crossed her arms, frustrated but resolute. "We need those answers, Jace. This artifact is too dangerous to be left unguarded. We're heading to the nearest station to get help. I won't risk our crew any longer with this unknown power." As the ship continued its journey, Elara's mind raced with possibilities. They had only just scratched the surface of the Star of Solara's secrets. The ship's course was set for a nearby space station, where they hoped to find scientists and experts who could help unravel the mysteries of the Star of Solara. As the hours passed, Elara couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. "Captain, I'm detecting something on our sensors," Jace reported, his voice tight. "It's faint, but there's a ship trailing us. They're not broadcasting any signals. It's like they're trying to stay hidden." Elara's eyes narrowed. "Can you identify them?" Jace shook his head. "Not yet, but we've been out here for too long, and the energy readings from the artifact have been drawing attention." Elara took a deep breath, her mind already shifting into tactical mode. "Prepare for evasive maneuvers. We're not letting anyone take this artifact from us." As the unknown ship grew closer, the Astral Dawn's alarms blared. Elara's grip on the controls tightened as she performed a series of evasive maneuvers, the ship veering sharply left and right. "They're closing in," Jace shouted. "They're matching our speed and trajectory. We can't shake them." Elara's mind raced. "Weapons? Are we clear to fire?" "Not yet," Jace replied. "The enemy ship hasn't made any aggressive moves. They're just following us." Elara's jaw clenched. "They know we have the artifact. They're waiting for the right moment." A pulse of energy from the Star of Solara hummed through the ship, and Elara glanced at the artifact, still resting in its containment unit. She could feel its power, its pull. "We'll make our stand here," Elara said, turning to her crew. "Ready weapons. If they make a move, we'll strike first." The enemy ship closed in fast, its intentions now clear. Elara's hand hovered over the weapon controls, her voice calm but commanding. "Fire a warning shot, Jace. Let them know we're not backing down." Jace's fingers worked quickly, and soon a burst of energy shot from the Astral Dawn, streaking toward the enemy vessel. It struck the hull of the pursuing ship, causing it to shudder but not break apart. The enemy ship responded with a burst of energy, but it was weak. They weren't ready to escalate just yet. The enemy captain's voice crackled through the comms, laced with venom. "You think you can intimidate us, Captain Tanis? You're out of your league. The Star of Solara will be ours." Elara's response was firm and resolute. "Not if I can help it. I'll burn this ship to the ground before I let you take it." The tension in the air was thick, but Elara was ready for whatever came next. The battle escalated quickly as the enemy ship's energy shields began to strengthen. Elara knew they couldn't keep this up forever. "Jace, how long until we reach the station?" she asked, her voice steady. "At least 20 minutes, Captain," Jace replied, sweat starting to bead on his forehead. "We're not going to make it," Elara muttered. The enemy ship launched a barrage of energy blasts, shaking the Astral Dawn. Elara ordered evasive maneuvers, but the Astral Dawn was taking hits. "We're running out of time," Rin said urgently, looking at the damage reports. Elara's eyes locked onto the view screen as the station came into view in the distance. "We'll make it there. We have no choice." But as the station drew closer, the enemy ship launched a final devastating attack, hitting the Astral Dawn directly. "Brace for impact," Elara shouted. The Astral Dawn shuddered as the enemy ship's final blow sent them spiraling toward the space station. The view screen flashed with red warnings, and alarms blared throughout the ship. Elara held tight to the controls, her teeth clenched as she fought to regain control. "Status report," she shouted. "Hull integrity at 40%, Jace called from his station. "We're losing power in the engines, Captain. Shields are down." Elara's mind raced as the space station loomed closer. "Prepare for emergency docking," she ordered. "We'll make it there, or we'll die trying." With every ounce of strength, she fought the ship's controls, bringing the Astral Dawn closer to the station's docking bay. The enemy ship, though severely damaged, was still in pursuit. Elara's hand hovered over the comms. "All hands brace for impact." The Astral Dawn scraped along the station's outer hull as Elara brought it into the docking bay, the screech of metal against metal reverberating through the ship. With a final jolt, the ship came to a halt. The crew staggered, but none of them wasted a second. "Get to the escape pods, now," Elara ordered, her voice urgent. "We'll hold the line until reinforcements arrive." Rin looked back at her, hesitating. "We're not leaving you, Captain. There's no time to argue." Elara snapped. "Get to the pods. I'll buy you the time you need." The crew quickly began evacuating, but Elara stayed at her post, her eyes fixed on the enemy ship closing in on the station. They had a few minutes at best. She reached for the comms. "This is Captain Tanis of the Astral Dawn. We are taking this station. You will stand down, or we will make you." The enemy ship closed in on the station, weapons charged and ready to fire. Elara's hand gripped the weapon controls, and she keyed in a series of commands, triggering the station's defensive systems. "Let's see if they like a taste of their own medicine," she muttered, targeting the enemy ship's engines. With a surge of power, the station's energy cannons unleashed a massive pulse of energy, striking the enemy ship's hull. The ship staggered, its shields flickering. Elara smiled grimly as she watched the damage. "That's a start." But just as she prepared to fire again, the enemy ship retaliated, firing an energy blast directly at the station. The Astral Dawn rocked from the impact, but the shields held, for now. Elara cursed under her breath. "Brace yourselves. It's going to get worse before it gets better." The battle outside the station intensified as enemy reinforcements arrived, their ships surrounding the station like vultures circling their prey. "We need to get to the main defense systems, Captain," Jace said urgently. "We can't keep up this fight with what we have." Elara nodded, already on her feet. "Agreed. Let's go." The team suited up quickly and began their trek through the station's corridors, heading toward the central control room. As they moved, the walls shook with the impact of enemy fire. "We're not making it easy for them," Rin said with a grin, though it was clear she was just as tense. As they neared the control room, Elara felt the weight of the moment. They were outnumbered and outgunned, but she refused to let the station fall into enemy hands. "Keep moving. We end this now." Elara reached the control room, her team in tow, and quickly began to work. "We need to lock down the station's weapon systems," she ordered, her voice steady as she took command. Rin and Jace moved to different panels, working quickly to override the enemy's control. The walls shook again, this time more violently. "We don't have much time," Rin said, her voice strained. "The enemy is preparing to board. Hold them off as long as you can," Elara said. She turned to Jace. "Get the weapons online. I'll handle the rest." Jace nodded, his fingers flying over the console. "Weapons are online, Captain. We're ready." Station's massive guns powered up, and Elara's face hardened with resolve. "Let's give them a fight they'll remember." With the last of the station's defenses activated, Elara stood tall. "Prepare for boarding. Let's end this."